Welcome back to another exciting episode of Nintendo Power. And today we're going to be covering a very special issue. This is the launch issue of the Nintendo 64. That's right, it is September 1996 at this point in time. We've got Super Mario 64 on the cover, Bowser breathing fire. Flip the cover around, we've got Mario. So, there's one other thing to note though. Because of the cover here, we've got Bowser breathing fire, it only makes sense that I should do another Hot Wings episode. So while I read this issue and review it, I will be eating super hot wings. And we've got a few new sauces that I want to point out before we get started. This right here is Secret Aardvark. It's got kind of a Mexican flavor to it, I would say. It's very interesting, very good. It's made in Portland, Oregon, by the way. Very cool stuff. This right here is Zombie Apocalypse sauce, also new. This one's very cool because it uses all natural ingredients as opposed to pepper extracts, Capsaicin, whatever the case may be. This uses just peppers, ground up peppers, vinegar, so on and so forth. It's a very natural sauce. No pepper extract, no funny business. As a result, it's not ultra hot like some of these other higher level sauces, but it definitely tastes better than any of those. And finally, the coup de grace of this whole thing. We have a new Kingpin sauce at the top of the heap. This right here is Satan's blood. That's why I'm holding it like this and just kind of like looking at it gingerly. You don't want to mess with Satan's blood. So this is my new hottest sauce, although I use the term very loosely. Do not use this as hot sauce. Matter of fact, do not do this at home at all. It's not hot sauce, it's Satan's blood. So let's get started, shall we? I've got a bottle of water, I've got a big glass of tonic water, and I've got a big glass of milk, which is going to be the most effective for combating the scourge of these peppers. However, I'm going to try to avoid using any of those as long as I can. So we'll see how far I get. And hot sauce, good stuff. So, table of contents. Nintendo 64 absolutely dominating the table of contents. Look at this. This is like a nostalgia overload right now. Just absolute nostalgia overload. Now, I didn't get an N64 until about 3 years after it came out. But I remember like the week that this system came out, everybody was going nuts. And I definitely had a few chances to play it. I ended up renting an actual N64 system from a local rental store for about $10 altogether. That was back when things, didn't cost that much. So it was $10 for a system for like 5 whole days. And I played Mario 64 like non-stop for those 5 days. It was a really fun time. But yeah, at this point in time, the N64 was on everybody's lips. It was the hot new system. Speaking of lips and hot, doing okay so far. We're on the first sauce. Everything's going pretty smoothly. Let's take a look at this month's letters section. Let's see what we've got. We've got some very cool fan art here with Princess Zelda. Ooh, I love this one. It's a picture of Chrono and the cast of a bunch of other Super Nintendo games. And the background looks like the future from Chrono Trigger. It's the jet bike racing background in the future of Chrono Trigger. It's one of the more chilling backgrounds I've ever seen in a video game. It's just like clouds blotting out the sky, and you can see these beams of light just kind of cutting through here and there. And it absolutely looks post-apocalyptic and chilling. You've got the Mario, Mallow, and Gino from Mario RPG. You've got Bowyer from Mario RPG. A lot of Chrono Trigger. Chrono's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the 10 letters. Wow. All right, so I've got 2 letters I want to spotlight this particular month. One of them is from Michael Stoops via America Online. Well, okay, so this is the point in time where the internet was in full swing. Had a lot of readers on AOL and via the internet sending in their letters. So snail mail, all of a sudden, not a whole lot of actual physical letters. Luckily, there were still enough physical letters to give us all this incredible envelope art. Yeah, 1996, N64 is coming. America Online. My God, nostalgia. It's coming on. All right, so we've got a letter from Michael Stoops via America Online. It says, "You should expand Player's Pulse even more. Every month, that is the first section I turn to. Please don't print short letters that totally agree with your magazine. Oh, please stop coverage of Virtual Boy due to the fact that it is very unpopular with me and my friends and every living thing on the planet. Return the power charts to 2 pages. It was much cooler before. Now I can barely find it. Good job with Epic Center. It has really gotten me interested in RPGs. Great letter." Okay, that's the end of the letter. Great letter. Epic Center really did a great job getting me interested in RPGs as well. The last letter here, it's from Nick Pagano in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey. And this letter says, "I can't believe how much things have changed from the NES to the N64. The NES with its rigid graphics and ugly sound effects, to the N64 with smooth 3D graphics and symphonic overtures. I have been a loyal subscriber and reader of Nintendo Power from Volume 1 with the clay Mario figure holding a mushroom on the cover. Now I look at Volume 86 and there's N64 coverage. It's amazing how over 7 years and 2 months, graphics and music have undergone such dramatic makeovers." Absolutely. And it's even crazier when you consider the fact that this was over 20 years ago. Super NES top 5, we've got Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger as the top 2. I'm wondering how close those are together. We got 2 RPGs dominating the top of the charts. RPGs were definitely popular at this point in time. I'm glad they were finally getting some recognition. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, which is a terrific game, is number 3. Then we've got Zelda: A Link to the Past at number 4, a complete mainstay in the top 20 charts for the Super NES. Matter of fact, the top 5 charts for the Super NES for pretty much half the 90s in this magazine. Oh, there we've got Metroid 2: Return of Samus hanging in there at number 6 on the Game Boy charts. And then we've got the Virtual Boy top 5. Oh my God. We've got Wario Land at number 1. And then we've got Other at number 2. Number 2 onward. Just number 2 until infinity is just Other. We've got the N64 itself. It's in its box right over here, so you can see exactly what it looks like when it's under your Christmas tree and you open up the present and boom, there it is, the N64 box. This is what you would see when you open that present. The resolution, it goes up to 480, 480p, not bad at all. Oddly enough, so would the GameCube and the Wii. Here we go. Getting past all the cool technical stuff, we've got Mario 64. That's what I'm talking about. And it's time for another wing. So we've got some great artwork here. We've got a overhead visual of Toadstool's castle and the field around it, which, by the way, tremendous idea, putting a giant empty field as the first real area of Mario 64. As soon as you start the game, you're literally dropped into a field where you can just run and jump around to your heart's content. You can go swimming, you can just play with the controls. At that point in time, Mario 64 was such a novel concept. The controls were so novel, just everything about it was so cutting edge that you kind of needed a big empty space to play around with when you first started the game. You know, a lot of lesser games, a lot of lesser game developers would have just thrown the player out into like level 1, just figure out what you're doing as you're getting attacked by enemies. You know, Superman 64 would just throw you in front of an oncoming freight train and give you about 3 seconds to learn how to fly to get out of the way before you just die, and then start the game over repeatedly. That's bad game design. Mario 64, they just give you a playground to get used to the controls. Once you kind of know what you're doing, you know how to jump, you know how to jump again, you know how to jump a third time and flip, then you go into the castle, the game begins. We've got some quick looks here at Mario's super moves. He's got a lot of new moves because he's in that three-dimensional space now. But yeah, I like Nintendo Power's coverage here. They just give you a quick rundown of all these different levels that you have access to at the beginning. It's good stuff. Although, you know, I have to wonder, how would the Nintendo Power of, say, 6 years before this, the Nintendo Power of like 1990, how would it have covered this game? You know, how different would the artwork be? Instead of having all this kind of CGI, would we have had more drawings, you know? Would they have had kind of little artistic renderings of each of these levels? Like Jolly Roger Bay, instead of having this little screenshot of like the water painting with Mario in front of it, quick little screenshot, little blurb. I feel like the Nintendo Power of yesteryear might have had like a drawing of Jolly Roger Bay and like Mario swimming away from an eel or something like that. That's one of the things I don't like about later issues of Nintendo Power. I feel like after 1995 or so, they kind of started to lose their magic a little bit. They started to lose their edge. And it's not just nostalgia talking like, oh, the old magazine used to be so much better. It's very noticeable as you move through the issues. We're going to move on here. We've got Bob-omb Battlefield, nice little overhead map, but the overhead map is actually a little bit hard to read. It's difficult for me to tell where exactly things are from this map. Number 6 is inside Chain Chomp's house, which I believe is always the first star that I go for when I start the game, because it's like right by the beginning of the game. And man, this is making me want to play Mario 64. Here we've got Whomp's Fortress, which is a tower filled with these giant Whomp guys that try to fall on you. They're made of rock. I don't really know what the deal is. So we've got the Princess's Secret Slide over here, which is an interesting level. It's literally a slide. You slide down. It's like a playground slide. And that's it. That's it for the coverage. Wow, that's just a couple levels. Right here we've got a screenshot of the ice level that's coming up, and another screenshot of the water level that's coming up. And yeah, fairly quick coverage of Mario 64, surprising. I was expecting like a more substantial look at the game. Let's see how they end the Mario 64 coverage. It says, the fun has just begun. Once you've won 3 stars, you can enter a chillin' world, where you'll have to rescue a penguin mother's lost chick and race another penguin down an icy slide. 3 stars is also the price of admission to a mysterious underwater world, where a giant eel guards a sunken ship laden with treasure. All of the paintings open worlds of wonder that are just waiting for daring explorers. That sounds great to me. Worlds of wonder. These paintings open worlds of wonder. Whew. It makes you want to just hop right in and give it a shot. It really does feel like something new, you know, something really, a new milestone for gaming. That's the vibe that I'm getting from this. Just this milestone that's going to bring joy to so many people when they get their hands on it. So yeah, I like this shot right here of Mario getting hit by Bowser's fire breath. It makes me realize that I'm actually overdue for my 3rd hot wing out of 8. Here we go. Alright, Chelsea hot sauce, definitely higher than Secret Aardvark. So I did those out of order, but that's okay. Wow, that is good stuff. I mean, it's hot, don't get me wrong, but it's really tasty. So here we've got Pilotwings 64, which is a game about flying, and you've got a bunch of pilots to choose from. And yeah, you know, I never really heard too much about Pilotwings 64. It was kind of the other big launch game besides Mario 64, but I feel like it was completely overshadowed by Mario. It looks cool though. I mean, you glide. You take off from high places and you glide. And I mean, that must be fun. And then we've got Cruis'n USA, which I believe was the third N64 game. Problem is, if I remember correctly, there were only 2 games available at launch, Mario and Pilotwings. Now I might be wrong on that one, but that's how I remember at this moment. And Cruis'n USA followed like a week or 2 later. And for a little while there, that was like those were like the only 3 games that N64 players had. And then I guess Shadows of the Empire came along, and things got a little better. Mario Kart 64 a few months after that, and then we were moving. Then we were in full swing. The N64, it had hit its stride, hit its groove, if you will. But at the beginning there, it was a little rocky. Didn't have the best launch lineup. Basically, the launch lineup was Mario 64. When you think about it, Mario 64 is pretty good as far as launch lineups go. So now we've got Turok Dinosaur Hunter. And this game always intrigued me. It had that kind of Doom look about it, except with an interesting setting. I also like that the game was so gray. It's like gray and foggy. It looks like a mid-90s PC game. And for some reason that's appealing to me. Just like foggy, can't see very far. Everything's polygonal and simple. You got your gun, you're like moving through. For some reason, that's appealing to me. I don't know. He's got a bow. He's like Hawkeye. He's got a bow. Now we've got classified information, which looks a wee bit different than how it used to look, unfortunately. Substantial jump up in Scoville count on this one. Here we go. Okay. I could definitely use something to drink now. Alright, we're halfway. We are halfway through our hot sauce challenge. And I've officially encountered my first real challenge of the challenge. Oh my god. So, I want to say that classified information has a different look than it did in past issues. It has this kind of weird, dark, computery look about it. Not really a fan. I think they were going for kind of an internet motif here. I definitely preferred the old look, which is basically a manila folder. It's this kind of manila folder look. And that was cool. It gave it this secret agent vibe, which I liked. Not really a big fan of the way it looks here. I already said that. So anyway, we've got some codes for Killer Instinct 2 here. The weird thing is this is an arcade game. It's not for the Super NES. It's not for the N64. Later, the N64 would get its own version of Killer Instinct 2. But at this point in time, it's just an arcade game. Nintendo Power is actually printing codes for a game that's only available in the arcade and will only be available in the arcade for a while. Pretty much ever, actually. So that's kind of interesting. Here's the thing, though. They were really pushing Killer Instinct at the time. Killer Instinct was like their thing, you know. Aside from Mario 64, Killer Instinct was what the magazine was basically about at the time. Then we got Mortal Kombat 3. Mortal Kombat 3 has a lot of built-in codes. I wasn't really a fan of Mortal Kombat 3, and the code entering method is weird. You have like a few seconds before every fight to just kind of punch in a bunch of numbers. I don't know, it was odd. And so you have to like have it right in front of you and be like, oh, which code do we want to enter? And try to enter it before the 3-second clock runs out. It just, I don't know. Pretty much everything about Mortal Kombat 3 felt like off to me. I don't know. So now we've got Realm for the Super NES. I don't know what this is. It looks like a pretty standard platformer, though. Now, I've talked in previous episodes about how the early 90s, the Super NES was filled with platformers that all followed the Mario theme of having like a field world and then a desert world and then an ice world. They all did that. However, the mid-90s, the mid to late 90s, action games followed a different format. It was more of a Super Metroid, Super Turrican if you've heard of Super Turrican kind of format, where they'd have these rocky terrains, maybe like a forest level at the beginning. The stages were darker, they were more vertical as well. So instead of having like left to right stages, you'd have like, lower left to upper right kind of stages. Also, all of the bosses seem to be robots. So this kind of reminds me of Hagain. I'm probably saying that wrong, for the Super NES, which was another really interesting game. So anyway, the final boss of this game looks pretty cool. Matter of fact, the final boss of this game looks almost exactly like this one final boss from Saga Frontier, which came out a few years after this. Like almost the spitting image. I'm gonna have to find a shot of that to show you guys, because this is really, really trippy. Alright, now we've got Kirby Superstar for the Super NES. Whew. This is a brilliant game. It's just so much fun. It's a bunch of variety. You got like a bunch of different kinds of Kirby games all kind of stuffed together. You've got Spring Breeze, which is basically a Kirby's Dream Land type game. Just kind of eases you into it. And you've got a bunch of other challenges that kind of get more and more difficult as you progress. They never get too difficult though, it's just right. So yeah, Kirby Superstar, great game. And we've got some nice little maps here. The game looks colorful, it looks fun. Again though, I'm detecting a distinct kind of lack of magic here. I'm not really seeing any artwork, any, really bright colors. It's just kind of like maps, screenshots, text. It's very, I don't want to say dry because it's not dry. It's just drier than what I've come to expect from earlier issues of Nintendo Power. And the poster, oh my god, I can't believe they did this with the poster. The poster is actually built into the magazine. I don't know if you can see this, but look at the way they did this with the poster. So you've got staples in the middle of the poster. How are you supposed to get this poster out? Previous issues, you could just roll it out and kind of separate it if you want to hang the poster on your wall, but I don't see how anyone could have, separated this poster without tearing it a little bit. And, yeah, sheesh. Poorly thought out. Next up, we've got Epic Center, which means I should probably stop and have another wing, but, yeah, I think we're due up for wing number 5. This one is Da Bomb Hot Sauce, which is basically battery acid. And this is the one that usually gets people. When it comes to this hot sauce lineup, you let people try these different sauces. This is the one that makes people stop and take notice. So if I can get through this without having a drink of anything, I think I deserve some praise. Here we go. We're doing it live. Would you get a good look at this? That's a healthy dollop right there. Let's do it. Woo! Okay. It ain't nothing. Clear. All right. Epic Center this month is going to cover SimCity. And they mentioned that Lufia 2 is finally on the way. Apparently Lufia 2 has gone through a great deal of delays at this point in time. think the thing I liked most about Lufia 2 was that almost every room had a new puzzle to solve. It's a game that's just brimming with puzzles. It's got elements of Zelda. It's got elements of your typical RPG as well. You've got monsters that you can evolve and put on your team. It's got 5 actually. Very compelling characters in it. Compelling story. Compelling villains. I'd really like to know what's up with Eric though. Eric's like the big boss Sinistral, the higher power. I don't think he ever really comes back in the series though. I, believe it or not, have never played a SimCity game. And I have such a thing for cities and construction, and I love skyscrapers. I love watching skyscrapers go up. You know, I see construction happening. I'll check in like every couple of weeks, like, how tall is that building now? How tall is it now? How tall is it now? So you'd think that I'd be all over SimCity. However, believe it or not, I never actually played a SimCity game. It's so weird. This is weird. War 3010, The Revolution. It's some kind of space strategy game. I don't know what this is doing in Epic Center though. I have to say that these ships definitely have a Romulan feel to them. They all have that kind of Romulan, Klingon, bird of prey, Deridex, warbird kind of thing going on. Scimitar. The Romulans had all the best ships, I think. But yeah, these ships have a very Romulan theme to them, which is cool. I just like looking at these ships. I'm gonna get some close-ups, show you what I'm talking about. I just enjoy the little ship designs here. Really cool stuff. I think that's the coolest thing about this game, actually. Oh god. Here we've got some interesting stuff about Secret of Evermore. One of the better games on the Super NES for sure. Wheeling and Dealing. I actually remember this issue. This teaches you how to do trading in the Nobilium market to get some very cool artifacts that that make the game a little easier for you. You got the Chichobo egg. And whew. So this part about Evermore has some interesting stuff that I actually didn't know. Turns out it's possible to get trapped at a few different points in the game. So now we've got a look at the final battle. It takes you step by step through the final boss, which is actually a series of bosses. And it even shows you what the very, very final boss looks like. It's Carltron, except it's not really him. It's like his robot or something. Has like Generalissimo shoulder pads. It's weird. So they actually show you the final boss here. You know, I was a big fan of when Nintendo Power would actually show you screenshots of the final bosses of these games. That's how I saw the final boss of Super Mario Bros. 3 years before I ever got to him. I saw the final boss of A Link to the Past, Ganon, in the pyramid. That fight in the middle of the pyramid with the Triforce symbol on the ground, and he's holding his trident in the air. I saw screenshots of that years before. No, not years. More like months before I actually got to play the game. And yeah, it was always really cool for me to just like see the final boss in advance. I felt like I was seeing something I wasn't supposed to see yet. Anywho, cool stuff. Now we've got Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. Like so many other things from this era, this game just didn't hit home for me the way its predecessors did. For whatever reason, it was just lacking in a lot of the good design choices that characterized the first two Donkey Kong countries. We've got Mario RPG. Tells you how to get the Mushroom Castle treasure box. That's one of my favorite treasure boxes. It's right above the door, and you have to hop on the Toad's head as he runs in and hop off and hit the block. It's really cool. How do I defeat Belome? That's a good question. Belome's one of the tougher bosses in the game, especially at the point that you fight him. You only have 2 characters. Sometimes he eats one of them, you know. It's tough. And then you've got the door that you have to team up with Bowser to break down. That's another part that can probably stump people, because it's like, you get the timing almost perfect and the door still doesn't open. So a lot of people are probably going, wait, is there a key I'm supposed to go get, or what's going on here? What else do we have? We have Wario Land, one of my absolute favorite games ever. Really excellently designed Game Boy game, so much fun. This here is Mad Dog 357. I'm probably going to want to get through these last three fairly quickly, so we're okay. This is the one that's going to make me have to drink something, because I don't know how I got through the previous one without drinking anything. This one's even worse. Let's do it. Whew! Alright, Donkey Kong Land 2. It uses the same worlds as Donkey Kong Country 2, except obviously here, they're not as beautiful. They're not as good looking. They're not as colorful and gorgeous. Alright. Can I do it? Will I tap out? Will I tap out? Will I tap out? Will I tap out? No, I'm still in it. I'm still in it. So, we've got Donkey Kong Country 2 favorites, like Gangplank Galleon, Creme Cauldron, Crazy Kremland, and Gloomy Gulch. I'm looking for, yes, the fairground levels from Donkey Kong Country 2 are in this game as well. The minecart fairground levels. I love those levels so much. They have this wonderful atmosphere, this kind of childlike atmosphere of just like an amusement park in the background, fireworks going off, just like this joyous kind of vibe. And you're just sailing through the air on your minecart, just having a blast. The music's great. It's fun. It's exciting. I'll never forget playing those levels with my mom, watching, and she would really get into those levels and talk about just how joyous they were and just the carnival atmosphere and how it reminded her of when she was a kid. And they had these amazing carnivals on Pontchartrain Beach in New Orleans. With roller coasters and merry-go-rounds and just fireworks and color and light. And the fact that Donkey Kong Country 2 could capture that vibe and remind her of that, I think is very special. They definitely left out a couple of the worlds. There are only 5 worlds in this game out of, I believe there were 7 in the original. Maybe they just left out one world. They left out Creme Quay, which I think was like the boat, like the waterlogged boat world, like World 4 or something. That is not in the Game Boy one. Weird. It's just weird that they would leave that one out. Now, we've got Pinocchio the game. He has a very long, lady-pleasing nose. And now we've got the arena. This was kind of a short-lived section of the magazine. They basically would just lay out challenges for different games. Players could take on these challenges and send in their scores, take pictures, whatever, send in their scores, maybe earn a spot in the magazine with their name and lights, neon lights. They also had the North America arena divided up into 4 specific sections. You had the East Coast, the West Coast, the Central States, which is a massive area, you know, because a lot fewer people live there. But don't tell that to the Electoral College. But I'm not going to get political. I don't get political in these Nintendo Power reviews. And then you have Canada, the Great White North, is its own division as well. And the interesting thing is they have champions for each of these 4 divisions. It's like the NBA. You know, here we've got Mario Kart, best times on Mario Circuit 2. Whew, I'm feeling froggy. I should just go load up Mario Kart right now and see if I can beat one of these times on Mario Circuit 2. I just want to say that Greg Pituch really got screwed on this one. He has a much better time than Michael Paul Clark. But here he is having to share the glory The dream team that gave the East their first victory in the battle zone. Yeah, right. Damn it, this win was all Greg Pituich, and they know it. Here we go. Super Mario 64. What kind of scores do you think this game is going to get? It says here the memory size is 4 megabits. Wait, what? 4 megabits? Here we go. Second to last wing, Blair's Mega Death with Liquid Rage. Not gonna tap. Not gonna do it. Ooh. I'm actually very impressed with my perseverance. If I may pat myself on the back and toot my own horn. Ooh. One sauce left. After I get through that last sauce, I'm free to drink as much as I want. All right. So Mario 64, what are the scores for this game? Wow. For play control, it only got a 3.8 out of 5. I'm shocked that it got a score under 4. But here's the thing. It's three-dimensional. So it's like a new type of play control. Graphics, it got 4.5, cutting edge graphics. For theme and fun, got 4.5. I think it deserved higher. I think it deserved a 5. Like, go full Monty for theme and fun. Theme is great. The fun is great. Full Monty, 5.0. And then for challenge, we've got 5.0. A new age of video games begins with Super Mario 64. Mario comes to life in the premier title for the new Nintendo 64, which will be released at the end of September in North America. Super Mario 64 pulls players into a true 3D world where they have virtually no limits to their movement. Mario's mission is to save Princess Toadstool from a prison and a painting. Once again, Bowser is behind the shenanigans. You know, it's kidnapping. It's kidnapping. I wouldn't call that shenanigans, Nintendo Power. That's kidnapping. Don't mince words. The magic of Shigeru Miyamoto's game design can be felt everywhere, from the stunning graphics to the variety of worlds and events. Players may find fewer enemies to stomp and more mazes and puzzles to solve than in previous Mario games, but the action is just as demanding as ever. Mario leaps, climbs, swims, flips, does handstands, and glides with one of 3 special caps. It's pure magic. Nintendo Power goes in-depth into Super Mario 64 this month. It is pure magic. Mario games are pure magic. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the pastel colors, the joyous whooping and hollering as Mario leaps through the levels, the compelling, interesting enemies and challenges, collecting coins. It's basic, but it's so fulfilling. We've got Star Wars Shadows of the Empire on the way for the N64. We've got some nice screenshots here. Shadows of the Empire looks really good from this vantage point. Here we've got a page devoted to Nintendo's N64. We've got Tetrasphere. I think that's the one that became Tetris 64, but I don't remember. Super Mario Kart R, which became Mario Kart 64. Star Fox 64, very cool. I like this little Hunter Killer tank. There's like this Terminator Hunter Killer tank that you fight in the first level of Star Fox 64. They've got a little half of it in the screenshot here. Probably gonna try to get a close-up of that. And Wave Race 64, which, you know, can't really tell from these screenshots, but that ended up being one of the most popular N64 games. There was a period of time when all I ever heard about from the N64 players that I knew was Wave Race 64. Here we've got Noah Travis, one of the game counselors in charge of Nintendo Power Source on AOL, America Online, back in 1996. Noah Travis was very present in the chat rooms there, really fun guy. He'd hang out with everyone. Everyone would have a good time. I remember popping into those chat rooms. Everybody was just having fun. It was good. So here we've got Noah Travis taking a break from Nintendo Power chat rooms to be confronted by a gigantic frog. I think this might be the frog that Frog summons in Chrono Trigger for like his ultimate attack. He summons this giant frog and it falls down. I think this is actually the same frog. Well, obviously it's not the same frog because this is like a real frog. It's like an actual giant frog, and the one in the game is just like digitized. But what I'm saying is that they motion capture this frog. This is like, it's like the Andy Serkis of Frog's final attack. This is the frog that they mocapped to get the frog in Chrono Trigger. And on that note, it's time for the final wing. It's time for Satan's blood. By the way, one bottle of this pretty much lasts you about 30 years. No, I'm not kidding. Even if you actually use this stuff on food, one bottle will last you 30 years. You know, a drop of this is too much. You want to use like a half a drop, like a minuscule amount. It's unbelievable. So yeah, when I'm 60 years old, I want to still have probably about this much left in the bottom of the bottle, like here. The round part at the bottle's still gonna be full down there. That's my prediction. I'm gonna be 60 years old, sitting here looking at this bottle, going, damn, I remember when this bottle was full. It's not full anymore. And I'll give it to my kids, and they'll never use it for anything. They might try it once and go, oh, that was interesting, and it'll end up on a shelf collecting dust. Their kids might look at it one day and wonder what it is. Leave it alone because it's all dusty and grungy. Let's do it. That's on a delay. Hit you on a delay. Nintendo Power N64 launch issue. September 1996, volume 88. Thank you for joining me. It was fun for me. Believe it or not, I had a lot of fun recording this issue, and I appreciate you being here. And I'm now, oh God, I'm now going to drink. If you don't mind. Don't ever do anything that I just did. Don't chug water either. Chugging this much water right after consuming Satan's blood is a recipe for disaster. Well, a sip of milk, bottoms up. This was a real experience. Tried a couple new sauces, had a fun time. Read a particularly cool issue, at least for 1996, of Nintendo Power. Super Mario 64, fire-breathing Bowser, tail-swinging Mario. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys on the next episode.